So here we go for a lap. So from the start, get yourself up through the gears, all the way up to 6th. Now Bray Hill, you don't have to take flat out. If you try doing it before you're really comfortable with how the car handles, it can get you into a lot of trouble. So it's easy, just have a little lift, just be happy with where the car is. Bottom of Bray's the same, have a little lift just to settle it and then get back on the power. Now a place we see a lot of people crash from the start is at Courtbridge. They just don't brake early enough. So past the junction here, there's a Marshall hut on the left just there, use that as your braking point. Brake hard and down to 2nd. Now getting back on the power, be careful. If you just stand on the gas now, it just comes around on you. So you have to feed the power in through all the slow corners. If you just stand on it and use it as an on-off switch, you're gonna spin the thing up all the time. So past the entrance to the rugby club, just after that we'll brake hard and we'll come back to 3rd. Now don't be too keen to get on the power on the way through here because it's long. Now start to build it, and as soon as you're into the right, now back hard on the power, as early as you can to carry as much speed as you can on the approach to Union Mills. Up to 6 as we approach Snugborough. The left kink as we come through the end of Snugborough is easy, flat. Another place we see a lot of accidents is Union Mills. Everyone thinks it's flat in 6th, but it's not, so we'll roll off here. A little bit of brake back to 5th, nice and tight through the left to give us plenty of room. Come back to 4th for the right-hander. Again, as early on the power as you can on the way out, as you're carrying the power now, all the way up the hill and down to Glenvine. On a fast lap, we're not actually going to lift off the accelerator again now till Greba Castle. So it's so important to get out of Union Mills as quickly as you can to carry that speed. It just multiplies as you get up the road. So the little kink there is just easy flat. Bellagary is flat once you're happy with it. The best thing to do is you come over the crest here, just have a little lift off, and once you're happy with the line, get back on the power. And take a breath now, just relax. The little kink coming up now is easy flat, not a problem. Now we're starting to think about Greba Castle. Another place we see a lot of people have accidents. They think the approach is just flat through the left and they just run out of road as you go over the crest and the cargo's light and into the wall on the right. So as we approach it, the first little right here we can take flat, just as we come up to it we can have a little lift off. So lift off now, bit of brakes, back to 5th, nice and tight to the left, just careful it goes like there. Squeeze the brakes again back to 4th, careful on the power because the cargo's light over this crest. Bumpy on the way out, and we're going to go to 5th and a short shift to 6th. Just little lifts as we go through this section, just little lifts as we turn in, just to help the car rotate. The last little bit through here is flat, and Greba Bridge back to 4th to get the car straight, brakes back to 4th, patient on the throttle, and now back on the power. Gorsleys, easy flat, not a problem at all. The first right, through the second right, and now we're thinking about where we're going to brake for Ballacrane. So we're going to use the 30 sign here, we're going to brake hard, down to 2nd gear. Another place we see people spin on the way out, so feed the power in on the way out, just steady on the power on the way out, just bring it in nice and gradually. We're going to go up to 4th, have a little lift here, just to help the car rotate again. It's bumpy through here. Short shift to 5th, and up to 6th. We're just going to roll off as we come over Berlin and back to 5th. Nice and tight on the way through. And the long right hand as we approach Laurel Bank. So lift off now, we're going to come back to 5th. Just feeling the grip, back to 4th, back to 3rd. Squeeze the power on and then back to 2nd for Laurel Bank. It's tight. So keep it nice and tight through the right and feed the power. Another place we see people spin out is on the exit of Laurel Bank. Up to 5th here, careful of the crest, it goes light again, we'll come back to 4th, keep it nice and tight on the left to give you plenty of room on the right, because this second half now tightens up, you can see people run out there. Up to 5th, the next left is flat, the second one isn't, so touch the brakes, back to 4th, steady on the power, then back to 3rd, Glen Helen will come back to 2nd, it's tight, so keep the car nice and tight to the left. Up to 3rd, then we'll come back to 2nd for Sarah's. Again, very important to get on the power early on the way out, because we kind of carry the speed now all the way up to the 11th milestone. So this is all flat, just about picking your line. Just dance between those apexes, build the speed, and get up to 6th gear as quickly as we can. And again, just take a breath now on Cronkavodi. All of that technical section there was hardly a second, to just think about where you were. You just had to stitch it all together. In the Cronkavodi is easy flat, not a problem at all. Now we're thinking about the 11th. The 11th is quicker than you think it is. The first right's going to be flat, and then as soon as we're through it, we're going to lift off. We're going to come back to 5th. Keep it nice and tight through the right, so we've got plenty of room to get through the left. Back on the power now hard. Go up to 6th, and we're thinking about handlings. So the orange markers here, we'll come back to 4th gear on the brakes through the left. Careful getting back on the power. We see people get on the power too early and end up in that Marshall's hut there. Up to 5th now, 6th, and flat through the Guinnesses. Thinking about the Garrow now, we're going to leave it in 6th for the Garrow. We're just going to have a lift, keep it in a higher gear, keep the car a little bit more settled because it can just snap away on the exit. So as you approach the crossroads, we lift off, turn in, and back on the power. If you want a real quick lap, that can be taken flat. The bottom can be taken flat too. It's best to do what the bikes do. Little lift off, and then back on as you go through the compression. The 13th, there's another place we see a lot of people have accidents, going in too fast, and turning in too early. So we'll come back to 4th. Nice and tight through the right, so we don't run out to the left and get in that bank. And Westwood, another place we see people crashing, nice and steady. Now thinking about the approach to Kurt Michael. We're going to come back to 4th for Kurt Michael. You can brake later than you think you can, but just to be safe, we come through the compression here, lift off, on the brakes, back to 4th. Don't turn in too soon, back on the power. Kurt Michael is flat, just about picking the line through the village. Obviously the car's a bit wider than the bike, so you're going to make a bit more of a corner of these things. The end of it tightens up on the exit. It's a late apex, so we're going to have a little lift now, and now back on the power. A lot of people end up in that bank there. Ring column, we're going to come back to 5th. We're going to be nice and tight through the right to again give us plenty of space through the left. Now we get back on the power and we're flat. Get it straight for the jump and off to Bishop's Court. This section all the way to Black can be taken flat out, but if you're starting out, not advisable. So we'll get through the first bit here, the left right, which is flat easy, and the second part now approaching Alpine. You might have a little lift just to help the car. So as you approach Alpine, this can be taken flat, get the line right. If you approach Alpine, we'll have a little lift, leave it in 6th. As soon as you're happy with the line, back on the power. Again, another corner that can be taken flat, but if in doubt, just back off. Thinking about the braking point for Bluff Bridge, not going to break your lap records by trying to go through Bluff Bridge too quickly. So through the 30 markers, just after we got the brakes, and we're going to come back to 3rd. Keep the car nice and settled. Little squeeze of the power to go over, wait for it to settle on as it comes off, and back on the power. As the car lands, if you jump on the power too early, as it bounces back on the rebound, it can spin the rears up and send you off into the wall. So just wait after it compresses, just to come back before you get back on the power. This left is flat, get nice and straight before the jump. That's Bella Cry, and we're thinking about Quarry Bends. The first right through Quarry Bends we can take flat, but the left after it isn't. So, the first right we're going to go through in 6th, through there in 6th, off the power now, back to 5th, nice and tight through the left, and now once we're back on the power through here, we're holding all the way to the end of Sulby Straight. Obviously the little left kink here through Kaylee's is flat. Now Sulby Bridge is another place where we see people spin up on the way out. It's been a long time now since we've had a second year corner, Bala Crane. So people get to the apex, stand on the power too soon, spin out, next thing they're facing the wrong way and they spend a minute trying to turn the car around. So the orange marker board here, we're going to brake hard, back to 2nd gear. I'm very careful getting on the power, very careful. I'm hardly touching it. Now I'm squeezing it and now I'm flat. Up to 3rd, up to 4th, as you approach Ginger Hall, keep it nice and wide on the right, back to 3rd, nice and tight on the way in. Kerramore's faster than you think it is, but you have to get the line right. You've got to use the camber on the inside. So we'll come up to 5th, hit to the right, back to 4th, throw it in and use that camber there. And now we're flat again. This can be all taken flat as long as you pick the line right. Get the car nice and straight for the jump. And and the rest of this is just quite easy. Glen Trammon coming up is probably the hardest bit, I think, to get right. It's because you can't jump on the brakes too quickly because the car just wants to rotate as it comes over the top. So the way to do it is from the 6th, flat through here, flat through this left, flat through this one, off the power, touch the brakes back to 5th, back to 4th, and I'm off all the pedals. I'm not touching a single pedal. Now brake and back to 3rd, and squeeze the power on the way out. If you jump on the brakes too late for that, as you come over the top into Glen Trammon, it just snaps on you and you end up in the wall. So up to 6 to approach the K-tree. Through there, nice and easy. The next section can be taken flat, but you're pushing the limits, so it's best just have a little roll. Just have a little roll, it helps the car just rotate slightly. It's so easy to run out of road through this section. Just allow the car to settle after the jump, and turn it in and go on the power. Just a little lift, just to settle it before you come in. Kev through Schoolhouse and we'll brake now, back to 5th. Turn and just be patient, now back on the power. Now think of it a braking point for Parliament Square, we're going past the crossroads and just after hard on the brakes. Safest, just to leave it in 2nd. Car's more settled, it's not going to spin up as easy. So easy to spin it up on the way out of there and up facing the wrong way. Mayhill's quick, so we'll come into 4th and we'll just have a lift. White gates is always tighter than you think it's going to be. So as you approach, we'll get on the brakes nice and early. Come back to 3rd and back to 2nd. It's much tighter than you think it is. See how steady I went through there, and there still wasn't much room left. Stella Maris can be taken almost flat, but have a little lift. And make sure you brake in plenty of time for the hairpin. So many people run on at the hairpin, just get it stopped. You're not going to break any lap records by trying to gain a 10th, jump on the brakes early for the hairpin. Just get around it, and careful on the power coming out that you don't spin it up again. The waterworks catches people out, same as it does in real life on the bikes. The first one's obviously quicker than the second, so the first one back to 3rd, nice and tight. The second one back to 2nd, a very late apex, so we're not even at the apex yet, the apex is there. See how late it is? And again, we're in 2nd gear, so careful getting back on the power, you don't spin it up. A little lift as we go through here, because they're not flat. And we see people just build speed here and don't back off. You've got to back them off the pedals now, back to 4th, a little touch of the brakes, squeeze the power, and all the way back to 1st gear. Careful getting on the power out the gooseneck again. Another place we see people spin the car. So easy to spin it. Just about feeding the power into all those slow corners. Leave the car out to the right hand side. We'll have a little lift through here and back on. We're going to have a little lift through Joey's again, just help the car rotate, help it get pitched in. So a little lift. Once we're happy with the line, we'll get back on the power. If you try taking any of those corners flat out, it just understeers and you'll be in the bank. So the approach to Guthrie's is technically, this is all flat, these lefts, but best just to have a little lift. Because it comes up, on usually through this one, it comes up on you really quickly. Go on the brakes and back to 3rd. Careful on the power again coming out. This is a very late apex, this. Even I missed it there. The right lead onto about a miles flat. And now you can have a breathe again. So we're thinking about the end of the mountain mile. There's technically 4 corners at the end of here. The first one you want to miss. So don't get yourself into an apex on the inside of the corner because you just run out of road on the exit of the second part. You almost want to ignore the first part and apex the second. And we're just going to come back to 5th for it. If you're in doubt, come back to 4th. Approach on the right hand side of the road, back to 5th. There's the first left, we're kind of missing it out. We're going to apex the second one, we're going to build the power back up. Flat on the power now, and it's a nice easy corner then. We're just going to miss out the first one. The little right hand king's flat. Casey's is flat, but only if you get the line right. So best just have a little lift. When you're happy with the line, get back on the power. Blackcut again, same thing. Little lift, and then back on the power. The veranda, all 4 can be taken flat in this car, just got to pick your line right. So we're just looking at the line there, through the 4th one, nice and easy. And we're approaching Bungalow Bridge. Bungalow Bridge is late apex again, so we're going to come off the power and back to 5th. And we're not back on the power yet, not back on the power, there's the apex and we're building a power now. All the way through these long right-handers. Off the power, back to fourth. Don't turn in too early and end up in the bungalow. And back on the power as you approach Brandywell. Brandywell's another one, it's a late apex. People just want to get into the corner, want to get in too soon and just run out of room on the exit. But the right hand on the approach is the tricky part because you need to hug it, get to the right to give you the room. So off the power now, come back to fourth, to late apex remember. Squeeze the power and back through. 32nd and 33rd are both tricky. This is how we're going to take them. Car over to the right, and come back to fifth. First one we're going to ignore, into the second one, back on the power, and grab the third one. It's the old windy corner, so we're going to come back to fourth. It's tighter than you think, it's tighter than it is in real life, so back to fourth. Not on the power yet, on the power now. One of the big mistakes we see is people, they brake at the right point, they turn in at the right point, and they think, I'm not touching the pedals, and they get back on the power too soon, and it forces the car to then understeer, push wide, and you run out of road. So you've got to be patient on some of these corners. So the 33rd, brake to the right again, we're going to come back to fifth. Squeezing the power back on now. Once we're through there, now we know it's flat. Keppel's quite technical, but it's really, really nice. When we approach the first part, brakes back to fourth, let it roll through here, back to third, and now back on the power. So you're just sliding on the way out there, so you see you've got to be careful. Now this is flat through Kate's. Down to the Craig, see the marker boards, see the crowd, and brake. And come back to second gear. Patient on the power, back on the power now. We're building up as we approach Brandish. Remember, it's old Brandish, so it's not flat out in fifth gear, it's back to fourth. And it's tight, it's almost a 90 degree left-hander. So it's another one where you need to be patient getting back on the power. So past the marker board on the right, just after we'll brake, and we'll come back to fourth. Not touching the power yet, now squeezing it back on. A lot of people think Hilbury's flat out in sixth for some reason, and this is where they can stick it in the wall and completely end their lap after all that hard work. So past the 40 signs, we'll come off the power back to fifth, get in nice and tight, and squeeze the power back on. Doesn't look like you're doing much, but trying to take the difference between doing that and trying to take it flat to six, the difference between crashing and getting it nice. Signpost difficult because you're braking for a corner you can't see. So through all these lefts, see the markers there, the 30s, and we're on the power now. It's difficult to pick a braking point for that. So err on the side of caution and brake earlier than you think you do. Careful on the power again, you're in second gear. Bedstead to late apex. It's there. Then we get excited now, things to finish, but we definitely haven't. A lot of people crash into here. A lot of people crash there. Be careful, get on the brakes. You need to brake hard for this, but you're going downhill and you're turning. It's easy for the car to snap. You're not going to break any records by trying to gain a 10th here, so again, just be nice and tidy. First gear, through the dip. And people then just stand on the throttle now and spin. So just careful coming out of there too. And that's a lap. Anything under 20 minutes is a good time. Anything under 19 is absolutely exceptional. And hopefully you get to have another go straight down there for your second one.